Welcome to Business Success Tips, where you learn to make more money in less time and have more fun. I'm your host, Paul Sanneman. I'm founder of Contractor Staffing Source, where we help contractors build great teams. This morning, I have Daniela Furtado. Get that right, Daniela?
Daniela Furtado.
Furtado. Okay, great. That's the hardest part of this podcast. And then you're from Findable. So tell me your background, sort of the story behind Findable and how you got started.
Yeah, so Findable is a digital marketing agency that specializes in the design and build industry. And I started making websites a long time ago when I was 12 years old. It started off as a hobby. And over the years, I then became fascinated in, okay, I'm creating all these websites. How do I get traffic to it? So I learned gradually about SEO. And by the time I was 21, I was making a side income from these websites through something called affiliate marketing.
Mhm.
And at that time, I had just graduated from university. I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Um,
Mhm.
I was working in luxury hospitality at the time and picking up some small projects in the organization doing marketing and realized, oh, these these are the skills I've been developing for years, and it's a real profession. It's an actual job, and it's called digital marketing. So I went back to school, did a master's in digital marketing, started working as a marketing manager for a few different corporations, and
Mhm.
then 5 years ago branched off and started an agency of my own. And here we are.
And where are you located?
I'm in Toronto, Canada.
So do you have Canadian candidates, US candidates as well as Canadian
Yeah,
clients?
actually, most of our clients are American. And we just signed on one client in Australia, and we might get one more before the end of the year.
Okay, cool. So what's your approach to digital marketing and everybody says they do it better than everybody else. So what's your special about you and your company?
Yeah. So our specialization is search engine optimization, getting people to the first page of Google, and also specializing in this industry in design and build. So a lot of our clients are interior designers, architects, contractors, trades. And many of our clients, they're not selling t-shirts for $20 a pop. For many of our clients, if they get a dozen or a couple dozen projects a year, very large, you know,
Right.
prices, then that to them is a success. And because many of our clients have those types of goals, we've tailored our services to that goal. So we've created a 12-month program. And by the end of the 12 months, our goal is to increase your website traffic by 5 times and increase sales increase, online sales increase by double. Sometimes we can even triple it in some very successful cases. And we
So
have KPIs throughout to make sure that we hit those targets.
so give me a sample. You don't have to get the company you don't want to, but give me an example of how that's worked for a design build company.
Sure. So we had one client come to us. This was very early on. She's been with us for 3 years now. When she initially started, she was doing a little bit of everything. That's a design build firm. They do everything from design to construction. And she was doing a little bit of social media, a few blog posts here and there. She was trying to pitch to press, but she wasn't sticking to anything long enough to see results. And she didn't have a strategy. She didn't have a cohesive strategy. And she didn't know what was good. What are some benchmarks to expect? Um, so we started working with her and we said, okay, we're going to cut all the fluff. We're going to focus on the few channels that seem to work the best for you before we add another one. And within 1 year, we got her from an average of 5 inquiries a month to about 20 inquiries a month and still qualified. So we didn't have to compromise the quality of the inquiries and still maintain a conversion rate of about 30%.
So how did you do that?
Um, a lot of different steps. We start with first understanding your business and your target customer and creating a strategy that revolves around them. Everything needs to center around your customer. Um, the next thing we do is what I call an appointment funnel. So we take a look at your website and say, is it clear that the end goal is to book a call with you? So we make sure that your homepage and your service page especially make it clear that this is your service, and that if they want to learn more, then they got to book a call. So we make the call to actions, all the buttons quite clear, and we direct it to the contact form. Your contact form is pretty important. We make sure that the questions there's enough questions to qualify people, but not too many to stray people away. And the most important question on your contact form is, how did you hear about us? This is so important. If there's not that question, if you're not asking that question, then it's hard to know what marketing channels are working. So that was like, the groundwork. And then on an ongoing basis, we're putting out content. So we take the projects that she's done, her firm has done, and we tell stories around it. We turn them into case studies, turn them into expertise. So for example, she did a project of a heritage home. And so we took that project and we turned it into a case study, because many times this industry shows what they do, but they don't talk about what they do. They have photos of the project, but I have no idea what you did. Did you just throw pillows into the room, or did you actually tear down a wall and get a permit?
I have a question. Is Instagram good for that? Because I hear a lot of people are like active on Instagram to show pictures. Is that true?
Yeah, from my experience, what I see with our clients, Instagram is what we call a nurturing channel. So once people already know about you, they follow you and they follow along, and they keep in touch, but it's not a lead generation channel.
Okay. Okay, so continue your story. So then what happened?
Okay. Where was I? So, turning the portfolio into content. So yeah, so I think many of your listeners probably, they have photos of work that they've done, but they're not telling stories about it. They're not walking us through the process. And that's a big part of marketing in this industry, because your portfolio is everything. We can't touch and feel your services, right? It's not like a store where I can walk in and
Right.
try on a t-shirt and no, I kind of have to trust that you know what you're talking about, that you know what you do. And the best way for me to get a sense of what it's like working with you is hearing stories about how you work, testimonials, obviously, but also case studies, projects, learning about the process of how your projects have folded. So yeah, that was a big part of it. So let's say that heritage home I use as an example. We turned it into a few different case studies where we showed people the process of what was the initial property, what did it look like, what was the vision, how did we go about doing it, what were some of the challenges that came up and we resolved, and then what was the end result. When it's a commercial property, you could do really cool case studies because there are usually numbers involved, right? It's like the design of a space or the renovation of the space will sometimes lead to an increase in sales or customer retention. So that's really cool to intertwine into case studies. We use that for blog posts and social media posts. You can repurpose it for email newsletters as well. And then the last bit is pitching it to press. So taking those projects and then pitching it to design magazines, industry publications, conferences, B&Is, those work really well. And then if you're in a really competitive market, you can add ads where you can put paid channels behind all of this. But in a nutshell, that's the process.
Okay, now I guess a lot of people just put testimonials and then
Mhm.
the ads, but they may fail to put, as you said, the projects or design process. Do you put what it cost in there, or do you avoid that part?
Now we have to adapt to every client, and there are confidentiality agreements that they sign with clients. So there are some constraints. But yeah, we typically, for every project, portfolio piece or case study, whatever you want to call it, we'll give it a name. We like to list the location. That helps for SEO whenever someone is searching like design build plus the location, that page will come up. We put the size of the project, whether that's in space or in the budget size, and the timeline. And then we'll walk them through what the space looked like before, what the vision was. We'll then show some of the planning process, like the blueprints, the construction photos, any mood boards even. Then we'll talk about the challenges, top 3 challenges that came up through the entire project and how we resolved them. And then the final results. We'll add then a gallery of all the projects, sorry, all the photos.
Right. Now,
And
do you find it's good to be diverse? Because let's say a person does modern, traditional, there's a bunch of different
uh-huh.
design styles. So is it good to show different design styles if they do them on the website and the stories versus people get, oh, they just do modern houses, they just do traditional houses. And you sort
Yeah.
of get stuck in a rut because people look at the pictures and figure, oh, that's what they do.
Right. Well, I guess it really depends with your business. Some people do want to specialize. They just want to do medical clinics and that's it. And they want to be the go-to person in their city whenever you need to construct a medical clinic. And so maybe you actually do some residential projects on the side, but you don't want to get more of those. So you do it, but you keep it to yourself. You don't post it on the website. If that's your goal. If your goal is to do a little bit of everything, then you post a little bit of everything. I think it is important to be intentional about what you're posting online because marketing is like the law of attraction. You attract what you put out. And so you got to be intentional about what you're communicating out
Right.
on your.
So let's say you're a design build firm and you do traditional, modern, you know,
Uh-huh.
whatever, different kinds of design, then you'd have those all on your website. And
Yeah.
how do you tie the stories or the from your stories on your website to stories in your marketing? How did that
Yeah.
work?
It's got to be well designed. So in your website portfolio, you may have two categories that um, to separate the residential from the commercial, and then within a blog, then you could do that as well. I suggest, in the example that I gave you of the client that went from 5 to 20 inquiries, she initially started off doing residential and hospitality. She was doing a lot of restaurants and cafes, and she had that in one website. And in the beginning, it was manageable. We could have the service pages for each respective type of client, portfolio pieces, blog posts, and the social media as well. But over time, as she started to get more and more projects, it was a lot. Her website, her whole online presence was getting confusing. It was hard to know what she was actually doing, what she was good at. So she did separate. She created one website. She's called Sansa Interiors. So she created one brand or one division that was specifically for residential and another brand or division specifically for hospitality. And she has websites for each, social media channels for each, and she's speaking to two different types of customers. And so I think eventually from what I see with the more mature or experienced firms, they do end up separating it.
So you're telling your story, you tell it on the website as well as your social media, so it's all consistent. And you said you had, I think, a case study here, right? Between Google versus social media. Can you like enlighten us with that?
Yeah, it's actually related to the Sansa interior. So when she started working with us, she was doing a little bit of everything. She was doing a little bit of social, a little bit search. And with her, we decided to focus solely on search, and she grew quite fast. At the same time, we were doing consulting work for another firm that didn't want to do search. They just wanted to do social media. And they did not grow as fast. It was a little bit more challenging to see the same progress with them, despite putting all of our eggs into that basket, into social media, specifically LinkedIn and Instagram. And it was really eye-opening for us to see that, you know, it's tough to make it on social media. It's very competitive, and people are typically using that platform to get ideas and inspiration, but not with the intent to like hire a professional service provider.
So maybe you make the distinction between search and that's SEO and that kind of stuff versus, I
Yeah,
mean,
search
versus
would, yeah, search.
versus
Well, now it's changing with AI, kind of this, what is search anymore? Is ChatGPT still considered search? But yeah, traditionally, search is Google, Bing, Yahoo, whether it's organic or paid.
okay, and social media is sort of all the other stuff, right?
Exactly.
And then
Instagram, and
is SEO considered mostly search or social media?
SEO. SEO is search. It stands for
Okay.
search engine optimization.
Okay. So do you put your money into SEO versus pay per click or that kind of thing? And I guess you then tend to lean more toward the pay per click versus SEO, right?
Yeah, but I get it also depends on the business and their goals. Search, you'll see a higher conversion rate because people are if they're thinking I want to hire a contractor, then they have the language for it. They go to Google and they search contractor near me. So there's a very clear intent. But so there is a place for social media. It's what we call more related to the brand, right? It's not so much about lead generation. It's about it's helping people get a sense of what it's like working with you. So they might search for you on Google, find your website, then go to social media and check out who are these people that are behind this company. Or maybe they found you through networking, right? Through a referral partnership, and they were using social media or your website as a way to kind of cross-reference, see if you are who you really are. So
Yeah.
there's still a place for social media, but we just have to adjust our expectations about what it can do for your business.
So what I hear you saying, Danielle, is that social media is more an informative kind of thing, and search is more of a closing tool. I mean,
Mhm.
getting them to make a decision and push the button and say, yeah, I want to talk to you,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So obviously, when you're doing sales, closing is really important because brand doesn't do any good unless somebody buys something, right?
Right, right.
Okay.
But social media can also be great, for example, if for employee marketing, it's really impactful, really, really impactful. We worked on a campaign last year with a furniture manufacturing company. So
Mhm.
it was us with the marketing manager and the HR manager to create a campaign to attract better talent. And that's really, this, you're
Yeah,
working
it's
in.
hard to do. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
so now one last question.
yeah,
How do you think AI is influencing? I mean, AI is like going exponentially. It changes everything.
yeah.
And, some people think, AI is going to create utopia. Some people think it's dystopia. It's going to either destroy the planet or fix it. I don't know. What's your school of thought on where AI is going? Because it's obviously going to have huge influence on how people buy stuff.
Yeah, it's already having a huge influence.
Right.
This is a big topic, a big question. Where do I start? It is changing the way that we use the internet, which means that it will change the way businesses target customers through the internet. It's changing the way consumers make buying decisions or search for information. And we're still very much learning. How we use AI today was very different from how we used it last year. People are so much
Um,
more open to it. The adoption rates is very fast and very high. And specifically for Google Ads, it's really changed the way we do Google Ads. But to give you a short answer, I think the so people are using ChatGPT or AI a lot more when they're looking for what I call consideration questions. So it's like these long questions like how long does it take to do XYZ? Or how much does it cost to do ABC? So a lot of those kind of questions that a podcast or a blog tries to, those very educational types of topics, AI is making it much easier to give people the answer instead of people having to go through websites and find the answer themselves. But when it comes to questions like who's the best person to do ABC in my city, people are still very much using search, specifically Google Maps. I think there's going to be a big push for people are going to start to realize how powerful Google Maps is if they haven't already. Um, I also think another shift we're going to see is, and this is my professional opinion, not everyone may agree with me, but I think personal brand is going to be so much more important. I'm already seeing it with the algorithm, that the algorithm is rewarding websites that have people quite at the forefront of their website. What I mean by that is they're not using stock images, they're using real images of their team on the homepage. If they put out blog posts, it doesn't say by some generic name, but by an actual real person, and it actually has a bio. Or there's quite a bit of activity on social media, and the social media account is connected to the website, or the firm, the owner of the firm has a little bit of a personal brand. They get featured in press and speak on the radio. And if you Google their name, there's actual results that come up. So I'm seeing that a lot more than any company that has people at the forefront and personal branding, the algorithm is getting very good at detecting that and trying to reward that versus websites that are very generic and AI based, because ultimately that's what we want. We want more human connection despite the rise in AI.
Yeah, interesting, because I know some people now that are using AI has gotten way better on the phone than it used to be, right? So I have people that when they call, because their salespeople aren't available 24/7, AI answers the phone. You can say, hey, I'm the AI assistant, but it has a regular conversation. It used to not work because there was delay, but
Yeah.
now it's a conversation. You can't tell.
Okay.
And so for inbound calls, people using that because it's available 24/7 and it's friendly and it never is upset and always having a good day. And
Yeah.
then the same thing with outgoing calls. It can make outgoing calls. So as AI takes on the personality of a person, you can talk to it versus having written conversation. How do you
Yeah.
think that's going to change things?
For marketing, for what? For people?
For
Change.
marketing. I mean, it's a good idea about it because, when I learned about that, well, it's better than an answer machine, right? If I can't answer the phone, it's better to have a friendly AI assistant, have this conversation with the person, find out what they have going on. This is an HVAC, I'm using it. It literally helps the person diagnose what's going on, schedules an appointment. It does everything a person would do, and you can't tell it's not a
Yeah.
person other than the beginning it says, I'm an AI assistant. So I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's going to change a lot of stuff too.
I bet it will. I'm not quite familiar with AI, the use of AI in like customer service or sales or like chatbots. I have some friends that are, and I know it's huge. I mean, it's so much more efficient. It's not my realm, but I could tell you like in October I went to a conference here in Toronto that was for specifically people that work in the SEO industry, so search engine optimization. And I really noticed the shift. I remember 5 years ago when I used to go to conferences like this, it was all about creativity and that people would show off case studies of how they did stuff that was like out of the box and very experimental. And nowadays, all of the topics at these conferences are about productivity, efficiency. How can we use ChatGPT or AI tools to make things faster and more scalable? But the interesting caveat about these topics is so the topics were all about like AI, right? Or like efficiency. If it's not about AI, it's about efficiency and scaling, doing marketing at scale. But the top, like when the speakers are delivering the content, they'll say like there's this thing called backlink building. It's getting websites to link back to your site in simple terms. So this is a big like practice in marketing or in SEO. And so this one speaker was talking about how to use AI to get more backlinks or get them faster. And she mentioned, she's like, you could use AI and AI can be great, but there's nothing like, doing the research on someone and tailoring the pitch to them. Like there's nothing, you can use AI, but there's nothing, the results that you get from doing it the manual way is so much better, but the manual way takes so much time. And that was a common theme at the conference that everyone would say, here's the AI way of doing things and it's a lot more efficient and scalable, but the results is substantially lower. So I thought that was interesting.
Interesting. Well, it's changing literally not every year, every month, right? It's crazy.
Yeah, every week.
Every week, so. Danielle, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that? And do you have like a diagnostic thing? Because this time of year, people are thinking,
Yeah.
well, do I change my marketing agent? Do I keep him? Is it a good expense? Is it not a good expense? They're trying to evaluate their resources and figure out what to put in marketing and where they should spend their money. So can you help them do that?
Yeah, I mean, we're not for everyone, but I'm open to talking to anyone with a free 20-minute call and seeing if we're a fit. If we are, then we can talk about next steps, and if we're not, I'll try to point them in a different direction. But you can find us on Google. You can go to our website, findableidigitalmarketing.com, and we have two services. We have your classic long-term commitment of 12 months, like any typical agency, but we also do have a 30-day program where we help contractors get to the top of Google within a 2 kilometer radius. So within a specific neighborhood and get their very first Google inquiry and see if it makes sense for them, opposed to the 1 year where we try to rank you across the entire city. So yeah, we're willing to meet people where they're at and We're really passionate about the work that we do. We're quite specialized. We know this industry in and out. And yeah, that's us.
Okay, thanks, Daniel. I appreciate being here. And I think if you're contemplating changing marketing agencies or getting a marketing agency, give Danielle a call because I like her. I like that 30-day thing. Contractors aren't in big, long commitments, right? So the 30-day, they get to know you, what's going on. I think it makes great sense. Thanks for
Yeah.
being here. Appreciate it, Danielle.
Thank you.